Welcome to Count Me In. I'm your host, Adam Larson, and today we have an exciting episode lined up for you. Our guest is Luke Deka, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Growbots. Luke will share his expertise on the unique challenges that small and medium-sized businesses face in outbound sales, especially for accounting firms. In this conversation, Luke dives into the importance of building confidence, understanding ideal customer profile, and how the digital age, including AI, is transforming outreach. He offers invaluable tips on effective personalization, measuring success, and avoiding common pitfalls. Whether you're looking to enhance your sales strategy or simply curious about the intersection of accounting and sales, this episode is packed with actionable insights. So sit back and get ready to learn. Let's get started. Well, Luke, I'm really excited to have you on the Count Me In podcast today. And today we're going to be talking about accounting challenges, especially in the small and medium-sized business space. And maybe we can start there. What are some of the biggest challenges they face, especially when it comes to things like outbound sales? Because accountants and sales, they're not really the same thing at times.
Yeah, I think the more I think about it, it is sort of similar what we do, me and, a lot of accounting firms, because basically sales is also sort of a magic. There are a lot of moving pieces. You want to make sure you have very, clean strategy, good ICP. So who is your customer, etc. And at the end of the day, accountants should be great at accounting, right? Mm-hmm. Not especially on, prospecting. So I do feel that, just getting into the world is the hardest one. So I would assume that a lot of accountants are just procrastinating. So they are not doing it. Mm-hmm. They are, living off referrals because it's, it's easy, it's convenient, but definitely not the way to scale the business, or maybe, catch up with some pipeline whenever it is a bit dry. So I think that the hardest is just starting. So getting enough of this confidence to just make it happen.
So you're talking about that confidence. And so how do you get from, hey, I'm an accountant and I started my own business, or I'm an accountant with an organization, we need to get more people, more customers in. How do you go from I'm just this to, hey, I have the confidence? How do you take from step one to get to the end there?
So I think that the easiest way is to just think about your best customer, just, the best one ever. Like, why exactly is this big? Is it because of the team, the size of the team? Is it about the industry they are at? Is it about the stage when you started working with them? So think about this perfect case study that you have, and then you can, before you are reaching into the high scale, you can just do one by one outreach, just start building, the connections. Don't be afraid of getting no's, because you will get a lot of no's. Mm-hmm. It's, unfortunately, this is how the sales works, but, it is useful for life as well, getting a bit of no's from the customers. So really extrapolating the best fit customer, thinking about what worked, trying to get the connection right. And I think that the most important part about outbound, and a lot of people are doing it wrong, is that they are trying to do business. They are trying to sell with outbound. And there is very nice saying that is eye-opening, I would say, that outbound is about opening, not closing. It's a new way to open the relationship with the company. But if you, from the get-go, you think about closing the deal, it's probably not going to happen. It's about building this pipeline of, opportunities. At some point, they will come.
So maybe we can take a step back and maybe you can define, what do we mean by outbound sales? Because in my mind, I think back at the old days where, you have the grunt worker guys taking 1,000 cold calls a day, trying to just get people on the line. Maybe you can define what you're saying by outbound sales so we can kind of frame the conversation a little bit.
Yeah, I think that, outbound sales is definitely not a new technique or a new strategy. It's been with us for a while. So outbound for me is just proactively reaching out to customers.
Okay.
So, identifying prospects, identifying right accounts. Who do you want to talk to? Who is this perfect fit customer for you? And then reaching out to them. And it doesn't matter what channel it is. Of course, the email is the most scalable and automated one. There is LinkedIn right now that people are using. The cold calling was, announced that probably 10 times in my career already, but it's not that for sure. So it's still working. So anything that you would consider proactively reaching out to identified prospect, this is outbound for me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that really helps. And in a digital age now that it's changed, like you said, cold calling has been pronounced dead, even though some people still do it. Like I still get random cold calls on my phone here at work because I've had the same number for like 14 years. So I still get random people calling me about things. But, how has that changed in the digital age, and how should we shift our focus, especially in the world of AI and how all that's changing? How should we shift our focus if we're trying to, reach the specific customers like you've been saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that AI is definitely opening some roads, especially for SMBs, because large companies, they have resources to hire salespeople that will do the research, that will get very accurate in the outreach. For SMBs, definitely AI will be a game changer, and there is plenty of tools that are already helping with that to streamline. But in digital era per se, I think that the huge change and the huge movement happened during the COVID times. I think that, in the outbound, definitely there is a pre-COVID era where a lot of business was done via trade shows, conferences. Then it stopped. So everyone was looking for something digital. Everyone was trying to do a little bit of outbound or like going digital. And of course, trade shows and conferences are coming back, but outbound stayed. So I think it's like, it's like definitely sped up in terms of this. And unfortunately, it's also much harder to get somebody's attention. So everyone is getting more and more emails. Everyone is getting more and more, LinkedIn messages or cold calls. So there has to be this, creative way to stand out.
That makes sense. So how do you stand out? How do you, because I think one thing that I've heard a lot about, especially in the conversations around AI and how people are reaching out to folks, is personalization. So how do you get to that personalization to the point where somebody will stand out enough to somebody open it? Because, I know people who, if an email says unsubscribe, then they have a rule automatically unsubscribing them because they don't want to see that email. So how do you get past those things to really get in front of the right people?
Now you need to tell me who these people are. So like, I want to make sure that they are not getting this copy. But yeah, so that's a great question. And everyone is right now talking about personalization and using these super fancy AI tools to add this, one-liner where you are adding some post on, or maybe someone will be telling you about the podcast episode that we are right now doing. So like trying to, to be personal, but in my opinion, maybe it's in contrary to where the market is thinking about it, is that personalize, like it's much better to do lack of personal, like to message without personalization.
Okay.
But the message that is relevant for someone. So everyone is trying to do, like personal message, like I did your research, what university you were at, or what have you posted. But I would think about making message more relevant. So I don't know, going again to the example of extrapolating the case study. Let's say that this is a tech business that, just started, maybe 2 years old. There are some challenges, some new things to set up. This is my perfect target. I would rather think, what are the challenges right now for these businesses? There was, I'm not CPA, so correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a lot of news everywhere online on how they changed the rules of how you can do the amortization of the R&D costs in your tech business. So I would think, okay, so maybe let's pick the businesses that are in the tech space. They have more than 10 software engineers. They are quite fresh and new. So this is very important issue for them. And I will tell them that I actually fixed something like that. And you can write the message that will be like, having zero personalization in this, let's say, meaning of getting very about this person, about the post or about the company. It will be about the segment of companies that they have some pain, and you identify this pain and you can actually solve the issue for them. So I would prefer to do that instead of, adding this one-liner that will be the one that worked. I've replied to so many bad emails, but they were just right about time of getting into my, inbox. Like exactly when I wanted to research these kind of solutions or I needed help. Also, there is one rule that is quite important. And I think that also in the accounting space, it will be very, very useful, is that we should provide value. So at least if we are, taking some time from someone, right? So, someone has to read the email or like even triage it, even write unsubscribe or whatever they will do with the email, bring some value. maybe there is some solution that you can already provide and show your expertise in an email that someone will say, oh, that's interesting. My CPA didn't tell me about that. So, going into that part, and I would definitely go and use AI to identify these perfect companies, perfect personas within these companies. But then, with this personalization, I would be worried.
So it's almost like you're personalizing in a different way. You're not personalizing maybe to the person, you're personalizing to their problem. It's like you're focusing in on what they need to focus, right?
Yeah, like we call it in our company personalization at scale.
Okay.
Because we are picking the group of people that should have similar issues, similar pains, and we are making the message very relevant for all of them. Usually, like when experts in the area are talking about personalization, they would say that the email that you are sending to someone cannot be sent to somebody else.
Okay.
So it's so unique that you cannot send it to the second prospect.
Gotcha.
This is when like personalization would be, but potato, I think like it's like at the end of the day, you need to get it to work. You need to get someone to open the email and say, yeah, that's interesting. And I want to talk.
I really like that approach because a lot of times you get these emails from marketing companies or somebody's trying to market to you and it says, hey, Adam, and it like tries to do this fun little thing. And then the rest of it's like their marketing message. But if you don't get past that first section, sometimes that part does turn me off. And I can understand it might turn other people off as well. Sometimes it makes me laugh because they do cute little kitschy things that get you interested. But then you read the rest of the email, you're like, oh, this is just a marketing thing and you might delete it. But you need to hit somebody where like different changes in accounting laws or different changes in how when the revenue recognition changes came along for accountants, for all small, medium-sized business to large businesses, they had to fix those things. So you have to reach those people where they are. So I think that's a great way of doing that. And have you found that effective? And are there any examples you can share of, how you're able to do that and help businesses grow?
Yeah, I think that, that's exactly the way how we would, go for it. Like we identify the best case scenarios, and then we are identifying the pains within this target group and making the solution, scalable. With the accounting, it's also very often the numbers game because, at the end of the day, especially in, helping SMBs, you need to get to the certain number of people that some of them, there would be really good timing to consider switching. So also we always think about that when somebody is really in the SMB space, it's like, of course, with Outbound, you cannot really measure intent of this person. You can only assume the intent. So, you need to get to thousands, but we do have customers in the space that are just finding it very, very effective. At the end of the day, I do believe that everyone at some point is considering switching accountings or thinking, something was not like super 100% yes. I will just, see what's out there. And you being in that moment at that time, of course, it's, it's not that easy to get there. But if you get there, then, then you get the client. So, and also what you mentioned is very important. And not every single industry have this opportunity to use it because there is this framework of reaching out to people in this, let's say, mode that you want to get your message to answer two questions: why you and why you now.
Yeah.
And the thing is that usually this why you now is very hard to get because you don't know what's the business like, what's the business state is in. But in accounting and a lot of regulated business, like when there is a new tax relief in California, or there are some, changes in this particular business, something new is coming up, this is your trigger. This is why you now. And these messages are highly effective.
Yeah, I like that. Just focusing on why you now. And that maybe that's how you get through. And I think the other thing to remember about the outbound side of things is that there's a big funnel that you're creating and not everybody's going to connect with it. So you have to make sure there's a wide enough reach so that you can get those individual thing. And how do you kind of overcome that thing? Because it's not the easiest for everybody to do this and to create this. And so, whether it's working with an organization like yours or trying to get your internal team to do that, what's the best way to connect to get yourself started? Let's say you're a SMB and you want to really get an outbound sales things going. What's the first steps to start taking?
Yeah, so like there is so many, tools out there to put things on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's actually a good idea to start with these. They are like pretty inexpensive, but then you can test it and you can see, hey, you know what? Actually, I might need someone full time to, start thinking about my strategy, about my messaging and all of that, all of that things. And then you probably get to, to somewhere like, or the business like similar to mine, where we just connect this product that is highly automated with like we call it concierge service, but basically someone that will take care of the strategy and execution. And we feel that this is the fastest way to test it, because you don't need to make your own mistakes, because you have people here that made all of these mistakes before. So that's usually the best way. But I also get that very often you would like to try yourself. And there are so many tools that will, identify email account or, phone number of someone, or really filter out the target persona, like even using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then going after these prospects in less automated way, in less scalable way, but just trying it out, just seeing, what's out there. There's definitely a lot on the market.
Are there red flags that people should look out for when they're getting into this? Because, obviously they can work with a company like yours, or they can try it out their own with some of the steps that you outlined. But are there red flags that they should look out for when they're getting started, that they should say, hey, if you start seeing this, shift directions?
Yeah. So a lot of times I hear that, someone saw some other organization that was sending tens of thousands of emails and is saying, yeah, now is the moment. I want to send 50,000 emails a month. I've never done that before, but I bought this database of 500,000 business owners and I want to reach out to them.
Yeah.
So that's probably not the greatest idea. Usually these databases are, like, I would call them a little bit stale. The emails are incorrect. And what you can do to your business is actually make all of your outgoing emails to your clients go to spam, because you will be hitting the, spam filters. So when I'm saying that you should try yourself, only if we are talking about like reasonable small scale, like reaching out to like 200, maybe to 500 people. This is when you can probably do it yourself. Whenever you want to go in thousands, probably it's not the smartest idea to start with 50,000, but also you need some experts to set up some infrastructure for that. Maybe going with creating some separate domains, especially for that project. So there are things that, you need to be careful, because you can create more harm than actually help your business. So this is the thing that I would be really, highlighting here, that this is a no-go. Like, whenever you want to send more than 1,000 emails, just talk to someone that has done it before, and they will tell you if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
So that's,
I like that, because, like you said, you see somebody else, a competitor of yours sending 50,000. You're like, oh, I have to do the same thing. But like you said, it might not be the best thing to start off there, or you might need a partner to do it right so you don't end up in spam.
Yeah.
How do you measure success? Because, obviously success is sales at the end of the day, like getting the sale. But how do you measure success when you're doing these types of campaigns?
Yeah. So you mentioned that there is a funnel, like, you have the number of prospects that you contacted. In SMB, it's usually equal to, number of leads that you are reaching out to, like number of accounts, right? So, but very often you want to also measure your conversion on the company level, right? In the B2B space, if we know that this company is a great fit, maybe we want to reach out to CFO, COO, and CEO, right? So, get from, all of the angles. So at the end of the funnel, of course, there is a sale. Even more, it's renewal. It's actually the lifetime value of the client, because that's the beauty of Outbound, is that you can pick the customers. With content, it's not so easy. With referrals, you're rather getting, whoever someone knows. So with Outbound, that's actually beautiful, that you can pick the right target. So if you know that with this customer, you are just, having huge success, that they will be renewing forever, or even buying more services that you have. This is let's say the end of the funnel. And of course, there are steps to go there. As I mentioned, we are not talking about closing from the beginning. So very often you need to think about this as a pipeline of not now opportunities, because someone will tell you maybe right away, not now, or maybe after the presentation of your business, they will tell you, you know what, that's not a good time. But these people are still in your pipeline. They still should be in this kind of long-term pipeline. In 2 years or 1.5 years, or maybe even sooner, you want to reach out to them and say, hey, you remember we chatted 1.5 years ago? Back then, you didn't consider switching. Right now, like, over these 15, 16 months, we helped 5 other tech businesses to, reach this level of savings and taxes. So there are, plenty of ways to just make every month count, even if you are not getting new, fresh contacts into the machine. So definitely, lifetime value, there is conversations that you are having with people. And there are more I still think there are more vanity metrics like open rates or, reply rates per se. They will tell you more about deliverability of your emails, but they shouldn't be prioritizing, because, if 100% people are seeing your messages and nobody is replying positively, then something is wrong, right? So definitely not prioritize these ones.
Does it take time to kind of build up that success story that you just talked about? Because when you start these campaigns, you might not see those successes right away, because these relationships take time to build.
Yes, of course. So, at the end of the day, that's so interesting about Outbound is that a lot of people are expecting, and I don't blame them. It seems like so straightforward that I will send, 1,000 emails, I will get so many, conversation, and I will, close so many deals. That's so easy. But at the end of the day, it takes time because, again, it's on one hand, it's statistics, but on another hand, it's much harder to close an outbound lead than referral lead. It's just, completely different percentages of people that will buy from you. So you need more meetings. You need to get, better at explaining what you do, how you are different from what they have already, how you are going to solve their pains. So there is a lot of that into the funnel. So I would say that, 3 to 6 months is actually minimum to even see if this is going somewhere. Of course, if you send emails and you don't get anything over 3 months, probably it's not working. But if you are getting some conversation, but you are frustrated that there was no deal, it's not done yet. Sometimes for the first deal, you need to wait, 6 months. And hopefully this deal will, end up paying for the entire program.
That's got to be hard if you're not getting. So what if that happens? You start off your program and you're not getting any responses. Do you adjust your messaging? Like, do you go back to the drawing board?
Oh, of course. So like when we are working with customers, we are starting with, 2 or 3 campaigns even from the get-go to touch. And, we call our first 3 months proof of concept period, where we are trying to find the winning formula. So we hope at the end of 3 months, we will know what are the conversion rates on each step of this kind of outbound funnel. So how many positive responses we can get in each campaign, how many more people we can contact in these campaigns. And then we can finally tell you, hey, like this is, what, if we contact 1,000 people, we will get you like 15 or 20 conversations. And then you need to reverse engineer that. Is it really working against my lifetime value of the customer if they bring me, 20 conversations a month? So there has to be some math being done there, but definitely it's not about sending one campaign and praying that it will get some replies, because we are doing it for 10 years and we kind of know a thing or two about writing messages. And we very often fail with the first campaign because we have this brilliant idea. Yeah, this would be the game changer. We will get this target. We will get this, unique value proposition. They don't respond. And we need to reiterate. So it's always about some iteration. Definitely, it's very hard to get it with the first shot.
It reminds me of not everybody knows the amount of failures it took for, Edison to make the first light bulb, or somebody to make this great invention. They don't see all the different failures that it took to make the big, great thing that everybody remembers them for.
Yes.
And it kind of reminds the same thing with sales. Is like your first campaign might be a success, but your third, fourth, and seventh one might be a great success, or whatever. It's building upon those things that you learn each time.
Yeah, and it's it's beautiful. Also, like I remember one of the clients. Like very often we get rid of this kind of like negative messages, or like we don't want to read them. But actually, what we are encouraging all of our customers to do is reading the negative messages, because of course there is no value in reading the unsubscribe message. But there are some that are telling you. I remember one client that was doing some consulting in the CRM space. And people were responding to him, hi, we use Salesforce already. So they didn't understand that they are doing Salesforce consulting. They thought that they are another CRM. So, it is helping you to adjust the message so somebody will get what you are doing and what's the challenge you're trying to solve. So also, very often at the beginning, this is just a learning curve, like with everything. Just let's be honest. We cannot expect to just go and be, gold medalist in Outbound.
Exactly. It takes time to build up that knowledge and that expertise, as you have with your organization. If you listen to the first podcast I ever recorded, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you want to see the difference of where I was then and I am now, you learn a lot as you go along the way with everything that we do. So it takes practice, like you just said.
Yeah.
Well, Luke, I really appreciate you sharing your expertise with our audience today. I really hope folks in the space have learned a thing or two, and reach out if they want to learn more. Check out the links in our show notes. And thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.